Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, remember to hit that bell for notifications for when we drop new videos.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened there. I was doing that. You have to unmute yourself. Failure! Thanks, StreamYard, for making me look like an ass.
Oh, now we're gone. What happened? Where are we at? What
do you mean?
Where's our video? Where's us? I'm just seeing a blank screen.
I'm seeing us.
Okay, I don't know what happened. My end something moved.
God, StreamYard, get your shit together.
Get it together. It started with our good old friend. God, what's his name? Steve. Help me out, Dave. Meteorite Man.
Oh, Steve Arnold.
Thank you.
Yeah, see,
we're like
else,
cut off. It's weird.
Everybody else saw it.
Wrong side of the screen. Yeah, we got it. We got it. We're there.
We
Hello, everybody.
Hope
you liked my spamming in the chat. Just get y'all warmed up, ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a goat that I see in the chat?
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a ton of stuff that I just was like,
greatest of all
smashing
time.
Stuff. Yeah. I've actually been looking forward to talking about this because I know nothing. I mean, besides the information that I've looked up, obviously. But
well, yeah, now he knows.
I've never talked about this case ever.
Never heard about it, or I'm sure you've heard about it.
Well, I've heard about it. We've talked about it on the show a little bit when we talked about the Cecil Hotel for sure, but
yeah,
I've never actually looked deep into this case, and
I
see now. Oh yeah, I see now why it is LA's. I would even say America's, one of America's most gruesome unsolved murders.
Yeah,
hands down.
That's fair to say.
Hands down.
That's fair to say. We're gonna keep our intros short because we got a lot of information to push on you guys. But before we get into all of that, if you guys haven't yet, hit that subscribe button down below. Come on, guys, what are you doing with your life?
Hit the subscribe, hit that like, maybe leave a comment if you so inclined.
Yes. We don't know if we're gonna make this like a 2-part show because like there's just so much information.
Yeah.
That's gonna come out. We're gonna cover everything from Elizabeth Short's life, and then obviously the murder, the suspects, a crime, and investigation and stuff like that. Yeah. So I will say I was struggling on whether or not I was gonna like put up any of the crime scene photos because they're pretty dang brutal.
They're pretty gruesome. Yeah.
We put up brutal and gruesome before, you know, the Richard Ramirez stuff.
Not as bad as these though.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But just in all fairness, we're limiting.
Look, if you want to go see these photos,
they're out there.
Go to Google, type in the Black Dahlia photos, and I guarantee you will find some sort of website out there that will let you see the photos. So yeah, I agree with Jess. She's got a very good point.
Yes. It'll probably be a 2-parter.
Probably.
So, before we get started, though, Chuck, how was your week?
Oh, my week was pretty solid. Really didn't do anything over the weekend. Worked, obviously, during the entire week. Didn't go celebrate St. Patty's Day, right? Was that last weekend? Was that yesterday? No, that wasn't yesterday. That was a weekend before, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was last Sunday.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you what. Get on a normal job. It's totally ruining. It's completely changed up my my sleep, my work to life schedule, my sleep schedule. Everything has just been completely thrown out of whack.
Like,
so
I'm about to go back to.
No, that's no.
No.
I love my Blue Hills family, but no.
Yeah.
No.
So all you did was work, huh?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And I mean, I trying to think. Oh, I
Did you go somewhere to investigate? Oh, wait, that was
the weekend before.
Jeez, man, time flies.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just gone.
That's all I've been doing too. Is just working.
Yeah, because I think Mitch and I just hung out mainly. Well, my friend had the birthday Saturday, but I actually had things going on Saturday night, so I couldn't go to the birthday party. Yeah, just it's been a crazy, not so crazy weekend. You ever had those? It's just like, it's just so crazy, but then
you look back, I was like,
really,
I didn't really do much.
Yeah, exactly. But as an adult, you're like, just relaxation. It's nice.
Went by so fast. You can't relax and not have time fly.
Oh, that's so true. Hey, that's what happens. Time flies when you're having fun. When you're just sitting there laying around or playing games, watching TV, it's just flying by.
Yeah.
It don't care who you are. Yeah,
I haven't been. I'll say this: I haven't been sleeping much, and time's still flying.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I've been sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night, and like it's just because of work. Like the whole week just flew by. But
yeah, I agree, Kelly. Yep.
Facts.
It's gone by like shoot, dude. Just thinking about how 3 years ago was my 10-year high school anniversary. What? Where did that time go? Literally, where
everybody's
does it
like
go?
10 years.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. Everybody else, 10 years, try 20, 30, 40, 50. You know what I mean? Like it just.
Yeah. You'll get there.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
See if life wants me to stay alive that long. I don't know. What?
Stop riding that death contraption, the 2-cycler.
I barely rode it at all right now.
I know.
It's sad. Not getting my therapy. My 2-wheel therapy.
If you guys are ever curious about my names, they change usually week to week. I find something interesting or somebody interesting or a character.
Very much so.
And I tend to switch to that. So if you wanna like have a looky-loo and grow your mind brain a little bit, there you go.
How was your week?
Was okay.
It
was okay. Ball practice for my daughter.
Of course.
Just started that.
Hey, Josh.
Started that on Tuesday. And Friday we had ball practice, but it's interesting. It's kind of boring just to sit there and watch. Like I'm not gonna lie. Granted, it's my kid. It's my kid out there, but like I've seen her play ball before at home. I'm like, I'm not impressed. But no, I'm just happy to see she's getting along with some of the girls, and she's listening to the coaches and things like that. So that's all I'm glad about.
Hey, that's what matters.
Yeah. She is the tiniest person on that field.
Well,
like it's so hilarious. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have been working on trying to secure another location for the Midwest Mystery Tour.
Hey.
I made a vague post.
Vague, you say?
Me? Vague? No. Never.
What?
But the Simo, the White Death. I don't know if you. Anyway, so like that post that I made, people were like messaging me like, "Oh, something going on? What's going on, man?" I'm like, about a location. It's not a thing with other investigators or anything like that.
You're not trying to start drama?
Yeah, no. I have another location that if I can get it, I'm going to be super stoked. Like you have no idea. Like you guys, Charles, but you guys have no idea how freaking stoked I will be if this happens.
I will be super stoked.
Yeah, man.
100%. 100%.
That was a good burp. And while I'm doing that, I'm like trying to set up these other things.
Cassie, absolutely. Dave's stirring the pot.
This is my kettle. This is my thing.
Exactly. Cup of thread overfloweth. What? I don't know. I totally messed that up. It's fine. Valley Charles has arrived.
Get it, Charles.
Gotta make a guest appearance every now and then. Just drop in and say hi.
It is an LA show.
That's very true. That's very true.
So, which means you have to read your parts in Valley.
Well, no, I'm not. I am not reading this entire thing in my Valley Girl.
Way to take it out of
no
seriousness,
way.
Charles.
There's no way.
So her body was discovered by this kid and his mom. They were just out getting their steps in.
Oh God, that would be interesting though, wouldn't it? Just have like a crime docuseries by someone with a major Valley voice. That'd be nuts.
That would be hilarious. You should start doing videos like that, just posting of 2-minute videos, of you reading.
So they found her severed head inside the basement.
Oh my gosh.
I just can't believe it.
That was a paper towel that was over it, and it was hiding it, but the blood was soaking through.
And the initials were carved into her head, said RFK. Who the hell is RFK? God, I'm done. I'm so done.
I'm just telling you right now, if you were to do 2-minute videos like that, post them on YouTube, people will watch.
Probably. That's so painful. That's the point, Josh. It's painful, but it works.
It's hilarious.
Gives us all. It's just natural medicine, right? Exactly.
Now that I've thought about this whole energy of reading
Thanks,
it
Cassie.
like that, I just want to go through it.
You started something. Oh no.
We're starting it tonight. It's Valley Girl Radio.
God.
Thank you.
Valley Girl Radio. That's actually not a bad idea. Huh.
Tonight we're gonna look at true crime or something.
I mean,
just throw a bunch of likes in there. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe too.
My cheeks hurt. It hurts to smile.
Oh my God, the places you could go.
The places you could go.
Look. All I'm saying is, if there's a gay guy who can just talk and do spooky stuff like this, and every sentence he does this inflection at the end of it.
Inflection.
It's he does these little horror stories or whatever, but he has this god awful, annoying inflection at the end of everything, and it's he's asking a question after everything he says. I just
had it right there. Welcome to Valley Girl's Most Haunted.
But that guy's got a
Valley of
shit
the
ton of
Dolls
views.
Radio. Valley of the Dolls Radio. That would be funny. I mean, there is a few out there that have that they do finish their rhyme pattern the same way.
This guy is horribly every sentence. Literally, I will put money on every sentence. It does that upper inflection where it sounds like he's asking.
I think I know who you're talking about too.
It's they do. I think 10 most haunted places.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, or
is this real? He just anyways, we'll talk about this when we're off stream. But let's get into the content because we got a lot. We got a lot.
Speaking of poop shoot,
Poop
hey, real quick, I gotta plug my thingies.
Oh yeah,
quick.
do your thing.
Let me plug you guys into the know. Real quick, guys, if you haven't yet, get your dang tickets. Get them.
Get the tickets.
The Midwest Mystery Tour. We are kicking off in May 11th. On May 11th. In May. At Harbor Village in Grove, Oklahoma. An outdoor facility with many displays. Harbor Village has a history of attachments. Come out there, check out the museum. It's a big museum, right on the lake too. So there's views and all that jazz.
The views.
Oh, the views.
Get your selfie sticks ready, everybody.
Shortly after that, we are going to be up in Malvern, Iowa.
Oh yeah,
Iowa.
Wait.
May 24th. Malvern was one of the locations we did last year, and we played some awesome hide and seek games with the spirits and Josh Hurd. And this year we are going to be playing hide and seek again, along with some other experiments. But I am bound and destined to find Josh this time. I hope he doesn't make a new hiding spot.
I know that one was clever. I didn't even know it was there.
Super clever. Then after that, come June 22nd, Boonville, Arkansas. This big mamma jamma.
Oh.
the Arkansas Tuberculosis Sanatorium. We are going to be all over this place. This place is active, shadow people, all that stuff. There's not a lot of people that know about this place because it's not one that gets televised. And
I'll be all over it.
The reason is because of an active campus,
Yes.
government campus. So, we'll be stuck to this building basically, but that's fine with me because we will never see each other once we walk in.
Literally, you just pick a floor, any floor, wherever you like to go.
Yeah. I'll be down in the basement for part of it, for most of it probably.
Yep.
But this one is awesome.
Yes.
And then later this year in September, we will be at McIntyre Villa, or shall I say Friday the 13th.
It is huge.
What? Yeah, this one's gonna be fun. We're gonna get I don't want to say a sneak peek.
Oh, we get to see Stephanie twice in 1 year. Oh,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah,
yes.
she's pretty stoked about that.
Hell yeah, I can't wait.
As am I. Speaking of which, April this next month. What is it? The 22nd, 23rd?
April what?
Or no, wait.
20th.
I'm looking at March. My bad.
420, baby.
April 20th. We will be at the Haunted Souls event.
Yep.
At McIntyre.
Yep.
If you haven't gotten tickets for it yet, get your tickets. Come hang out with Charles and myself, as well as Haunted Soul Society. I'm not going to be busting out my experiments.
They're running the show. We're just there to have fun.
Yeah, we're just the pretty faces.
That's right. We're there to look good and have a great time.
Yeah.
And maybe mess
bring the fun.
Like tease Stephanie a little bit. Just have just like poke fun at her because Stephanie.
You got to.
Yeah, exactly. But I was at I was at that event. I think the last time it was a lot of fun. They actually had some good experiments and stuff happen. We had some new faces to the villa, which was really nice. So a lot of people didn't really know, obviously the history and stuff. So Steph kind of she explained a lot of stuff, and I cannot wait to go back. It's going to be a great time. I love going there. Every time I've been there, it's just been a great time. So
that's actually kind of, I want to say that's me where I'm kicking off any kind of traveling and stuff. But, I got invited to an investigation, at the beginning of this next month. So
right in April?
Yeah. Beginning of April. 2 locations, one night.
Wow. 2 locations, one night. Heck yeah. Is it the 6th? That's 7th. The first weekend.
7th.
The 7th. So that's Sunday. Nice.
It's on a Sunday. Yep.
Heck yeah, dude.
So I think I'm going to go do that.
Do it.
And shit, I might even film it for Haunted Collabs. So
that'd be kind of cool.
He said I could film, so I might just do it.
Why not? How many other people, is it a full crew or what?
I have no idea how many people are going to be there.
Okay.
And fun part is I have to go to work the very next day.
Oh.
I'm leaving work, going there, investigating, getting a couple hours sleep, going back to work.
That paranormal hangover is going to be real. Exactly. Right up there.
So, all these events, guys, the haunting history, the Midwest Mystery Tour, and the Haunted Soul Society event, all of that is available on Eventbrite. Just look up those titles, and with Midwest Mystery Tour, you can just look up Midwest Mystery Tour and pick your location you want to go to. Tickets are lower than last year. Last year, I think we were doing $75 per.
Yeah.
This year, it's only $60 per, and you get to investigate with me and some potential super guests.
And hopefully, I'll be at most of them. Hopefully.
We're gonna see, I guess. We're like, you ain't got enough time built up.
Well, it's on a Saturday. It's more of if I want to take that Monday off, just to take it off, because I can take a day off and not use any kind of PTO or anything. So.
Can I use my PTSD on this?
I don't think that's how it works, but okay.
What? I thought that was part of my benefits. My benefit package.
And thank you, Jessica. That does mean a lot to us. That's kind of what Dave was going for this year. She said your prices are already much lower than other groups. So we wanted to make it a little bit more affordable for everybody. So that's why Dave lowered the price, which kind of makes sense. I mean,
That and
how it goes.
Whenever I started to do this tour, I always made some of the mystery guests were people that have been on TV. And if you go to an event where you're with somebody that's been on TV, it's like $150 or something ridiculous. But you're also getting the location as well, so that kind of helps with everything. But like, you get to meet somebody cool. You get to spend the night at a location and explore it for way less than what you would probably book it for. So, and you learn some new ideas and things to do on investigations from everybody. So
absolutely,
that's a plus. Win-win. All right, that's all out of the way. So,
God, that took us freaking 20 minutes. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So, shall we begin?
Quick disclaimer. There may or may not be a couple photos that are going to pop up that have some graphic imagery.
We'll give you a warning.
If you're not into that, like you said, we'll give you a warning and you look away.
You have 5 seconds when we give you a warning. So
yeah. And we'll
it's
tell
not
you
your fault. It's not our fault when we warn you and you want to look and then you have nightmares. It's not our fault.
Yeah, this is probably not rated for children, but
no. I mean, when is our show actually rated for children?
Oh, at the end of the show, I got to tell you about the serial killer doc I watched last night. I stayed up till like 2 o'clock watching it.
You were really invested, weren't you?
I was. It was very gripping and creepy too.
Gripping? It was gripping?
Gripping.
I thought you said cripping. It's like, yeah, something like that. I don't know if you're going after that or crippled. Either one.
Oh my god. Oh my god, dude.
Well, oh my god. What the hell? Why'd you say that?
Whoa.
Anyways. Rolling.
How do we just get into the Black Dahlia after acting like that?
I know, right? It's just, how do we do this? We're so jokey, and now we got to be serious.
All right. So this beginning piece comes to you from the FBI.gov website. You can actually look up a bunch of famous criminal cases on here.
Yeah.
And get a lot of information. I think there's over 200 photos of like articles and stuff like that.
Wow.
On this site. Oh yeah. So on the morning of January 15th, 1947, a mother taking her child for a walk in Los Angeles neighborhood stumbled upon a gruesome sight. The body of a young naked woman sliced clean in half at the waist. The body was just a few feet from the sidewalk and posed in such a way that the mother reportedly thought it was a mannequin at first. Despite the extensive mutilation and cuts on the body, there wasn't a drop of blood at the scene, indicating that the young woman had been killed somewhere else. The ensuing investigation was led by the LA Police Department. The FBI was asked to help, and it quickly identified the body just 56 minutes, in fact, after getting blurred fingerprints via sound photo, which is a primitive fax machine used by news services from Los Angeles. The young woman turned out to be 22-year-old Hollywood hopeful named Elizabeth Short, later dubbed the Black Dahlia by the press for her rumored penchant for sheer black clothes and for the Blue Dahlia movie that came out at that time. Short's prints actually appeared twice in the FBI's massive collection. They had over 100 million on file at the time. The first prints, she had applied for a job as a clerk at the commissary of the Army Camp Cook in California in 1943. And second, she had been arrested by the Santa Barbara police for underage drinking 7 months later. The Bureau also had her mugshot in its files and provided it to the press. That's a horrible first impression, isn't it? Hi, guys. I'd like you to meet Elizabeth Short. Here's her mugshot. In support of LA police, the FBI ran records checks on potential suspects and conducted interviews across the nation. Based on early suspicions that the murderer may have had skills in dissection because the body was so cleanly cut, agents were also asked to check out a group of students at the University of Southern Cal Medical School. And in a tantalizing potential break in the case, The Bureau searched for a match to fingerprints found on an anonymous letter that may have been sent to authorities by the killer, but the prints weren't in the FBI files. So, who killed the Black Dahlia and why? It's a mystery. The murderer has never been found, and given how much time has passed, probably will never be. And the legend continues to grow.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, tonight, we are going to talk about
The Black Dahlia.
Elizabeth Short. We're going to build up who she was exactly, and and I think that's important as storytellers, I guess.
Preservation of history.
Yeah, for you guys to understand who she was and get that connection, you know, the little bit of an intimate look at her. So Charles, why don't you go ahead and start with, I guess it would be four. All
right, 4. Gotta warm up my voice here. Sorry. So we will also be reading from a website called crimelibrary.org. They have a lot of different stuff. It's all cataloged, and we're like Dave said, we're gonna go through her history and talk about her first. So, Elizabeth Short embodied the feminine ideal of the 40s, with her meaty legs, full hips, and small upturned nose. She was drama personified. She dyed her mousy brown locks of raven black, painted her lips blood red, and pinned white flowers in her hair. With her alabaster skin and startling light blue eyes, she looked like a porcelain doll. Provenance of her nickname is unclear. Some say her friends started calling her the Black Dahlia because of her fondness for the color black, and in reference to the 1946 movie, as we talked about. In the town where she grew up, however, she was known simply as Bet. According to her childhood friend and neighbor, Mary, I think it's Pacios or Pacios, I'm not sure, but born on July 29th, 1924 in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, Short was one of 5 daughters born to Phoebe and Cleo. I think Phoebe, something like that. At some point during her childhood, the family moved half an hour north to Medford, a town famous for Paul Revere's Midnight Ride in 1775, and as the place where the Jingle Bells was written. I didn't know that. Cleo Short launched a successful business. I didn't know that was is that a dude's name?
Cleo? Yeah. I think so.
Huh. All right, then. Any Cleos I know have all been ladies, so sorry. So Cleo Short launched a successful business building miniature golf courses, but the 1928 stock market crashed, left him bankrupt. Unable to provide for his large family, Cleo left his car on a local bridge to make it look like he had jumped off into the river in despair. Pacios writes in her book, Childhood Shadows, when he wrote his wife from California a few years later, saying he was saving up money to move the family there. His wife wanted nothing to do with him. After Cleo's abandonment, the Short family moved into a meager apartment building next to Pacios, and Phoebe found a job as a bookkeeper. Elizabeth became a big sister of sorts to Pacios. 10 years her junior, taking her out for ice cream or to the movies. The two girls watched all the Ginger Roger and Fred Astaire flicks that were popular at the time, as well as the debut of Gone with the Wind. Perhaps it was in that small town theater where Short's Hollywood dream began. Short was born with respiratory problems that developed into asthma and bronchitis as she got older. She was 16. Her mother started sending her to spend winters with her family friends in Miami, where she found work as a waitress. I wonder if she did that because of my guess is she did that because of the respiratory issues,
Probably.
Which makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
It's like when tuberculosis hit, everybody would travel west or go to drier
fresh
climates.
air.
Yeah.
At 19, Short took a train across country to move in with her father, who was living in Vallejo.
Vallejo.
Is it actually Vallejo or is it Vallejo?
Vallejo.
Sure. A city just above San Francisco and working at the Mare Island Naval Station. She hoped the move to California would enable her to break into movies. That's what Pacquiao wrote.
I'm going to go ahead and read the next page here, the Camp Cutie thing.
Yeah, go for it.
So from the beginning, Short's newfound relationship with her father was fraught with strife. She hadn't seen him for years. She was haunted by the regret, or he was haunted by the regret of like dipping out. They were strangers living in the same house. They had clashing ideas of how things should be.
Yeah.
Cleo Short expected his teenage daughter to serve him as a maid of sorts, cooking and housekeeping. But Short was a free spirit who wanted nothing to do with being a domestic woman. She found a job in the mail room at Camp Cook, which is now Vandenberg Air Force Base, 2.5 hours north of Los Angeles. At Camp Cook, she was surrounded by entire regiments of lonely soldiers on the verge of being sent to war. She left a trail of erotic longing in her wake wherever she walked. The young men clamored for her attention, voted her Camp Cutie, and told her she was movie star quality. Her idol came to an end a few months later, however, when she was arrested at a Santa Barbara bar for underage drinking and shipped home to Medford. Now, the reason I wanted to read this was this part where it explains that, you know, she left a trail of erotic longing in her wake. That line right there was something that kind of resonates with the rest of her life, having to have a man in her life. And I think a lot of it stemmed from her father dipping out at a young age.
Daddy issues.
What? Daddy issues, exactly. I will say, as a studier or purveyor of social dynamics and some psychology, that makes an easy target.
Unfortunately, it does.
It really does. And which I think ultimately is probably what led to all this. Possibly. They went to the Crescent Hotel.
I don't know who she's talking about.
I don't know either.
I saw that comment earlier, too, when I was finished reading.
I was going to say that if you're talking about Elizabeth Short, she did not go to the Crescent Hotel. Oh, wait, the tuberculosis stuff. Oh, that's probably what it was.
Probably.
Yeah. I was going to say, Short
maybe
has been spotted by the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah, she went to, that was the possible Cecil Hotel. But,
okay, go.
Was it
go ahead and read the
was it
next
the end
one.
of yours?
Yeah. Go ahead and read 8.
All right. Number, well, no.
Or, wait,
7,
the next one.
6 or 7.
6. Sorry.
6. Gotta go to 6. Doomed romance. All right. Over the next couple years, Short drifted back and forth across the country, taking trains from Medford to Chicago to Florida to California and back to Massachusetts again. Waitressing gigs paid her way wherever she went and fed her compulsion to experience new places and people. Her lust for life was overwhelming. You know, just kind of sitting here and thinking about that real quick. To be able to do that, you'd have to live a very minimal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Very minimal lifestyle. So it's like, I wonder if she maybe was like, here, Mom, I'm going to drop some stuff off. Bye. Or
like she
Dad
had
or
to,
something. I don't know.
She obviously didn't put down roots anywhere like for an extended period of time. She was probably like, monthly.
I want
like,
adventure and to live and to be
changing.
free. Yeah, exactly.
Staying with friends and whatnot.
Couch surfing, essentially. But that's all right. So she frequented nightclubs where she swayed across the dance floor to swing jazz and bebop. Yeah, right. You haven't heard that one in a while. She loved the music. She loved the men, the atmosphere. She was never alone unless she wanted to be, but on the last day of September 1944...
December.
What? Did I say September?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I said... Okay. December 1944.
God, learn to read.
I know, what the hell. Her playgirl lifestyle changed when she met a young man who stood out from the testosterone horde, a major with the Flying Tigers. She sent her mother a gushing letter, Pacquiao writes. I met someone New Year's Eve, a major, Matt Gordon. I'm so much in love. I'm sure it shows. He is so wonderful, not like the other men, and he asks me to marry him. What? Already? That was fast. After Short returned to Medford that summer, Pacquiao says she wore Matt's pilot wings pinned to her blouses and started a hope chest, filling it with hand-embroidered linens he sent her from the Philippines. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. When a Western Union bicycle messenger pedaled toward the Short residence in the late August heat, it was fate too cruel to contemplate. The Japanese had surrendered on August 14th, and Short had finally stopped worrying that Matt would be killed in combat. Instead, she fantasized about her upcoming nuptials, about the silk wedding gown, the floral arrangements, what canopies to serve at the that's not right. Is that right? Yeah, canopies? Canapes? Canapes?
I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway,
look
food.
it up. Tell me.
What food?
Yeah, tell me. For all you educated people, tell me. Anyways, to serve at the reception and how to wear her hair. But the bicycle messenger did stop in front of the Short residence, delivering a terse missive from her fiance's mother. Matt killed in plane crash on way home from India. My sympathy is with you. Pray it isn't so. Short spent the next days in a funk, reading and rereading Matt's letters. When the Yankee air turned frosty, she returned to Miami, a copy of his obituary tucked in her suitcase. That's so sad. Like, just to think, if he didn't die, if he wasn't killed, all of this could have been avoided for her.
Yeah.
Man, that
just
sucks.
one little moment can change everything.
It just shapes history. But you're actually shaping the future and shaping history at the same time.
Yep.
Mind fudge. What?
So in Miami, Short distracted her heartache with a parade of men. Again, like if you think psychologically about this, like her father deserted her, and now she lost a guy she was going to marry. So
sad.
So like anybody would do, they'd go on a spree.
Well,
if you will.
she had to get rid of her sorrows, if you will.
Had to get rid of that funk. So yeah, she had a parade of men. She enjoyed the company of men of every stripe, soldiers, entrepreneurs, older, younger, but the men she enjoyed best were the sort with plenty of spending money in their wallets. Right, ladies? Sorry, that was not a jab at anybody in particular.
Hey,
I'm just saying, it doesn't hurt. Short knew the value of her beauty as she sashayed down the sidewalk in peep-toed heels. She held her head up high, primarily aware of her effect on male passerby. They gawked, they whistled, they offered to buy her dinner. Frequently, she accepted. They paid for her meals, bar tabs, rent, clothes. They gave her cash. Like, she was a flat-out hoe.
What?
I know you're not supposed to speak of the dead like that, but let's be honest.
If you look at your research, she was not a hoe.
If
she never slept with these guys.
I'm not saying in a sexual sense. I'm not saying in a sexual sense. She played these motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, she needed. I mean, I saw a video or a documentary the other day where it was very common for women in that time, especially in L.A. Like, L.A. was after the war, like post-war L.A. was just a free-for-all when it came to men and women.
Jeez.
Like, it was a happening place for people to go and just have fun and have a great time, and that's how it was. Women, actually, I would say a lot of women survived because of going on like paid dates with men.
Oh yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, hey, paid date and then I get some later. No, it was like hey, let's go have dinner and coffee, and I want to see this beautiful lady on my arm, but you got to pay for the services of being.
I think primarily also it was
there.
the guys wanting to boast, like, hey, I've got this pretty girl with me.
Yeah,
look at me.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, they had to throw that military money around somewhere.
Yeah, you got to spend it
and
somehow.
it was to pretty women being chaperones, essentially.
Yep. Oh, what it was like to be alive then.
Whole different time, man. Today's game, I just don't even want to touch it. But
today's game, I don't know, it's kind of not not so much different anymore.
In very
Certain places.
Yeah, down south where you are, yeah, probably not. But up here where I am, very different. Very different.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So anyway, Short had a particular fetish for men in uniform. In July of 1946, she returned to Southern Cal to be close to Joseph Gordon, Flicking, an intensely handsome Air Force lieutenant with sensual dark eyes. They met in California 2 years earlier, shortly before he was shipped overseas. It was a rocky relationship from the start. In their private letters, which were confiscated by the police and excerpted in newspapers after Short's murder, Flickling expressed impatience with Short's flirtations, wondering if he ranked higher in her heart than any other man, which, I mean, I don't blame him. If that's the case, I don't blame him.
I get it. If he's interested in locking it down and she's not interested,
yeah,
I'd be getting a little jealous too, not going to lie.
Yeah. Apparently, she wasn't able or didn't try to convince him that he did. He moved to North Carolina to work as a commercial airline pilot, but they stayed in touch, and he continued sending her money, including a $100 wire transfer the month before she died.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Tool. The last letter Flickling received from Short was dated January 8th, 1947, 7 days before her murder. In it, she told him she was moving to Chicago, where she hoped to become a fashion model.
Okay. That's wild. So in her last days, right?
Yeah.
So, in the last 6 months of her life, Short moved constantly between a dozen hotels. What?
Oh, Jerry.
Oh,
so if you got it,
yeah, you got to flaunt it. Absolutely. Look at Marilyn Monroe. She flaunted it.
Heck yeah,
100%. She knew what she was doing. Just saying. So, Short moved constantly between a dozen hotels, apartments, boarding houses, and private homes in Southern California. She crashed for free where she could, paid as little as possible where she couldn't. She was chronically short on cash.
Oh, the chronic.
It's not legal back then. Reefer madness. All right.
That's why she spent so much.
Probably. From November 13th to December 15th, Short lived in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in Hollywood with 8 other young women. What?
Whoa.
Yeah, cocktail waitresses, telephone operators, dime dancers. I wonder what that is.
Oh my God, I was going to make a joke, but it's not. I'm not.
Probably a good idea. And other out-of-towners who hoped to break into showbiz. You know what? That kind of sounds familiar.
The place is probably clean.
Us, probably. You know what? Wow.
Back then.
Wow. Anyways,
Wow.
no, that just sounds familiar for certain people in certain industries in today's world, living with like 4 or 5 other chicks out in California or Florida or Atlanta.
Actors.
They're acting in something. The women paid $1 a day for a bunk bed and a couple feet of closet space, but Short couldn't even afford this paltry sum and snuck out a side door to avoid the manager when the rent was due. Nice. Her roommates told the LA Times after her death that Short was out with a different boyfriend almost every night and didn't have a job. Basically, they were paying for everything. She was also going out to prowl Hollywood Boulevard, but they would just say Prowl Boulevard. Linda Rowe, 22, she told a reporter. Short was elusive in the life as she remains in death. She didn't have close friends, male or female, but preferred the company of strangers and constant change of entourage. The last person to see her alive was a recent acquaintance, a 25-year-old married salesman named Robert Manley, nicknamed Red for his flaming auburn hair. According to the press reports, Manley picked her up on a street corner in San Diego. He noticed her standing alone, a beautiful woman with no apparent destination. Pulled over to ask if she wanted a ride. Short played coy, turning her head and refusing to look at him, but Manley kept talking, reassuring her that he was harmless and that he just wanted to help her out and give her a lift home. At the time, Short was staying with a family who took pity on her after finding her at the 24-hour movie theater where she'd gone to spend the night. But they soon tired of her. She lazed around their small house during the day and spent her evenings out partying. In early 1947, they asked her to leave. Manley came to pick her up. So she was living her best life, essentially, like out partying, like a young lifestyle. The pair stayed in a local motel, but Short slept in her clothes, and the pair didn't have sex. He later told a reporter that the next day, January 9th, the next day, January 9th, he drove her to Los Angeles and helped her check her luggage at a bus station. She told him she was going to Berkeley to stay with her sister, whom she was meeting at the Bitmore Hotel downtown. Manley accompanied her into the hotel lobby, but took leave of her at 6:30 p.m. to return to his family in San Diego. Bitmore was exactly the sort of place Short loved to hang out in. It was as glamorous as she aspired to be, filled with wealthy travelers and luxurious appointed. Built in the early 1920s, it was the largest hotel west of Chicago with 1,000 rooms. Its lobby was its centerpiece, featuring hand-painted cathedral ceilings, crystal chandeliers, and marble floors. This elegant settling could offer no greater contrast to the dirt lot where her desecrated body was dumped 1 week later.
So, just real quick, something I wanted to touch on is it doesn't have too much to do with Elizabeth, but so like the philanthropy, whenever it comes to high profile individuals, back then it would have been military or any man in uniform was a high profile individual. Kids wanted to be pilots and stuff
Absolutely.
like that.
Well, that was the thing to be, especially coming right out of World War II. Like, hey, we won! Yeah! And the military soldiers were seen as war heroes.
Yeah. Actresses, models and stuff like that. They were the top of the food chain as well. And everybody wanted that.
Basically, the thing to be back then was if you were a man, it was a military guy. If you were a woman, it was like an actress or a dancer or someone in showbiz of some sort.
Yeah. And it reminded me of a friend of mine. She was a massage therapist for a couple NFL teams, and she was telling me about one of these players who had 7 different girlfriends, and he rotated them every week. Like a certain day he would see each one of them. And here's the messed up part about that. They all knew about it.
Yep.
They all knew about each other.
It's 'cause that money.
Yeah. That money will make people do some crazy things. And the reason I bring that up is because, like, you look at her life, it's like that was an easy way for her to get
100%.
by. That was the easy money. She didn't have to do anything.
Nope.
She just had to go out and have fun.
Yep.
Bills were paid. She was good, except for, her bed sleeping. But she was getting fed. She was getting drinks. She was just living the life. Mm-hmm. But at some point, that shit gets old. It gets old. It wears on you. And
well, I don't think she found out that part of life yet.
No, not quite. But I mean, you look at a lot of these actresses and stuff like that now. Like some of them, they don't age very well.
Not without adrenochrome.
But I think a lot of these, the ones that are coming from the 60s, 70s, and stuff like the 80s, they're aging well because of all the drugs. I think.
Really? Really?
I mean. I think
aging well because of all the drugs.
I think there's something to it. I'm just saying
about that.
There's musicians out there that probably shouldn't be alive.
Probably should be or shouldn't.
Should not. With as much drugs as they did.
Yeah, but then you look at the ones that claim to have died because of drugs, and it's like, did they actually die because of the drugs, or were they like offed? Because of certain people that are alive, somehow, even though that did even more drugs than they did.
Look at Keith Richards.
I know, prime suspect.
Steven
Tyler, absolutely.
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy's a good example. But what's crazy is like when they come off the drugs, like how much better they get from that.
Yep.
Like it's so crazy to me, and how they're still alive is just beyond me.
Well, the thing is too is. People with money can afford to take care of themselves in every way possible.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, though, Botox and other surgeries just doesn't look good on some people, and some people it does. It's just how it goes.
Freaking aliens.
Like for a little while there, what's his name? The Italian Stallion, Stallone. When he was having those injections, he didn't look the greatest, but eventually they settled and he looks fine. Of course, it's gotten better over the years, but there's some people that just look like aliens. And makeup does wonders for a lot of people, too.
All right. You just read The Last Stage, right?
Yes. It's now Macabre Discovery.
Hang on a second. Okay. I'm gonna move to The Missing Week. Nothing Macabre
first?
Discovery.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what happened from the time Short was seen leaving the Biltmore to the time her mutilated body was dumped in the dirt, a lot remains a mystery. One thing is certain, sometime during those 7 days, she had a fatal date with her killer, who taunted and tortured her before snuffing out her young life in a horrific fashion. On January 25th, Short's black patent leather purse and one of her black open-toed pumps was found in a dumpster on God, why do they list streets in the thousands? I hate saying that.
I don't know. It's weird.
1819th
Or just
Street.
Go 1819
Street.
Yeah.
East 25th Street. Several miles from the crime scene. Okay. Robert Manley identified the items as being hers. He recognized the shoes because he paid to get them resold in San Diego, and said the handbag smelled of the heavy perfume that Short wore and that had permeated it in his car as they drove from San Diego to Los Angeles. The 5 daily papers in Los Angeles gobbled up these details in a ferocious competition to outscoop each other. Someone, possibly the killer, mailed a package to the Examiner 9 days after Short's death. It reeked of the gasoline the sender used to erase his or her fingerprints from the envelope. Inside were Short's belongings, including photographs, her birth certificate, social security card, and Matt Gordon's obituary. It also contained an address book containing the names of 75 men. The police quickly tracked them down, and they told investigators a surprisingly similar story. They'd met Short on the street or in a club, bought her drinks or dinner, but never saw her again after she made it clear she was uninterested in a physical relationship. So some of those details definitely keep in mind.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, do you want to go into?
Yeah, I'll get into the macabre.
The macabre.
Okay. On the morning of January 5th, 1947, a housewife named Betty Bersinger was walking down a residential street in central Los Angeles with her 3-year-old daughter when something caught her eye. It was a cold, overcast morning, and she was on her way to pick up a pair of shoes from the cobbler. At first glance, Bersinger thought the white figure laying a few inches from the sidewalk was a broken store mannequin, which I can definitely see why she thought that. But a closer look revealed the hideous truth. It was the body of a woman who had been cut in half and was laying face up in the dirt. The woman's arms were raised over her head at a 45-degree angles. Her lower half was positioned a foot over from her torso. The straight legs spread open wide. The body appeared to have been washed clean of blood, and the intestines were tucked neatly under the buttocks. Bersinger shielded her daughter's eyes, then ran with her to a nearby home to call the police. 2 detectives were assigned to the case, Harry Hansen and Finis Brown. By the time the duo arrived at the crime scene on Northton Avenue between 39th and Coliseum Street in Los Angeles, it was swarming with reporters and gawkers who were carelessly trampling the evidence.
All right, hang on a second. I'm going to just warn everybody, I'm going to be posting some pictures. If you are squeamish, I guess.
You got 5 seconds.
Yeah. You can look away and just not look and listen. I'll let you know when the pictures are off screen. So
the detectives ordered the crowd to back off and got down to business. From the lack of blood on the body or in the grass, they determined the victim had been murdered elsewhere and dragged into the lot, one piece at a time. There was a dew under the body, so they knew it had been placed there after 2 a.m., where the outside temperature dipped to 38 degrees. The victim's face was horribly defiled. The murderer had used a knife to slash a 3-inch gash into the corner of her mouth and giving her the death grin of a deranged clown, a.k.a. think of the Joker. What was that called? Glasgow Smile, I think is what it was called.
Something like that.
Rope marks were on her wrist and ankles, indicated she had been restrained and possibly tortured.
Pictures are down.
So bad. By measuring the two halves of the corpse, the detectives estimated the victim's height to be 5 foot 6 inches and her weight to be 115. Her mousy brown hair had been, it's either mousy or moosey, one of the two, had recently hennaed and her fingernails were bitten to the quick. After calling the Los Angeles County coroner to retrieve the body, the detectives were left with a daunting assignment, finding out who the woman was. That's rough.
Yeah.
So do 9 first.
9. Do
it's either 2 or 9, one of the two. Or 3 and 9, yeah. Do 3? Yeah, do 3.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Right. In the 1940s, the police and the press lived in a symbiotic relationship. Reporters used the cops for inside scoops, and the cops used the reporters to disseminate information to the public that they hoped would help solve a crime. In the Black Dahlia case, detectives gave the Los Angeles Examiner fingerprints lifted from the dead woman, and reporters used their sound photo machine to send enlargements of the prints to the FBI headquarters. FBI technicians compared the prints with 104 million fingerprints they had on file and quickly made a match to one Elizabeth Short. Short's fingerprints were taken for a mailroom job that she had at the Army base in California, an arrest record for underage drinking in California. The FBI also sent the paper Short's government application photo. When reporters saw how attractive the 22-year-old victim was, they knew they had a sensational tale on their hands. This was news noir at its best. To juice up the story, Examiner reporters resorted to an unethical ploy. They called her mother. Yeah, they did that before the police even called her. Phoebe Short, they told her that her daughter had won a beauty. This is how they coaxed her. They called her mother and told her that her daughter had won a beauty contest. And then they pried as much information, personal information about Elizabeth from Miss Short as possible. And then they informed her that her daughter was actually dead. How messed up is that? So they pumped her for information, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, your daughter's dead. We lied. She's not in a beauty contest. She's dead."
Talk about insensitive.
Yeah. Sex, beauty, violence. The story had it all, and soon made the front page news across the nation. "Quote unquote, police seek mad pervert in girl's death," ran one headline in the Washington Post.
That just pisses me off.
It's so messed up. So messed up. I'm just going to read the next investigation one.
Yeah, go for it.
In the wake of her murder, 40 police officers scoured the neighborhood, going house to house looking for clues and evidence. They checked the gutters and laundromats for blood-stained clothing, interviewed residents, poked through dumpsters. They gained no leads. No solid leads. The investigators tracked down Cleo Short, who was living a mere 3 miles from the dirt lot that her body was found. He told them he hadn't heard from his daughter in 3 years. He was apparently still angry that she refused to keep house for him when she came to California, but spent her time running around instead. He refused the coroner's request to identify the body. The coroner's office determined that Short had been killed by massive internal hemorrhaging caused by blows to the head. No traces of sperm were found anywhere on her body. The coroner report revealed that. It also disclosed a less than becoming detail about Short. Her teeth were in a severe state of decay and plugged with wax. They questioned more than 20 of Short's former boyfriends, but gained no solid leads. After the story hit the newspapers, more than 30 confessing Sams stepped forward, ranging from certified nut jobs to attention-starved losers looking for a moment in the spotlight. Right there, that's crazy. That people would just be like, oh yeah, it was me, I killed her. Idiots. Why would...
I don't know.
The police wasted precious manpower proving that they were innocent while searching for the real killer. Detective Hansen complained to the press about that. His office had to sort through letters from pranksters and wiseacres. I think that was a nice way of saying wise asses. Writing from as far away as El Paso and the Bronx. He came to theorize... Yeah.
Did I can't remember because it's been so long. Did H.H. Holmes write to the newspaper or the sheriffs?
No.
Didn't he? No? You sure?
Pretty sure.
I could have sworn he wrote to them because he was getting tired of like I don't know, like it was the attention factor. He drove on the attention factor, I'm pretty sure. Because we didn't talk about any other serial killers that were like that.
I don't know if Richard Ramirez did.
I can't remember. I'll have to go back and watch the episode. But
obviously, there's the Zodiac killer who was sending letters to him.
Cryptid. Well, yeah, that one's interesting.
That's one we got to cover at some point too.
Yes.
All right. So the detective came to theorize that whoever killed Elizabeth Short wasn't somebody she knew, but a pickup. The police interviewed thousands of people who had even the slightest knowledge of Short or her acquaintances, and quickly stuffed a steel filing cabinet with notes and affidavits. At one point, LAPD investigators were so certain that the clean bisection of Short's body was the handiwork of an expert that they persuaded the University of Southern California, located in the same neighborhood where the corpse was found, to turn over a list of medical students. According to the FBI, which was declassified, 203 pages of documents related to its own investigation of the murder. The Bureau was inundated with handwritten letters to J. Edgar Hoover from individuals claiming to know who the murderer was or blaming the crime on someone that they held a grudge against. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
People just trying to get other people in trouble?
Yep.
That's wild. That is so wild.
All right. So should we look at suspects?
I mean, I'm cool with that. I mean, it's...
Oh, we are at 9. We are at our hour.
We are, but I guarantee you they're going to want to hear it. Guarantee it.
What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you guys want to hear about the suspects?
Because suspects is honestly like the last part.
It pretty much is, yeah. Let's just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, might as well just push through. All right. Worried about the suspects. All right. So the LAPD has refrained from speculating on the identity of the killer. The truth is that Elizabeth Short's killer is most likely dead, if not deceased of old age, and will never be brought to justice. The fact hasn't stopped a large group of amateur sleuths from picking up the torch in an attempt to solve the case. Their conclusions range from fanciful to downright risible. Mary Pacquiao pins blame incredibly on movie director Orson Welles, who once did a magic act where he sawed a woman in half. Okay. In another book, Daddy Was the Black Dahlia Killer, a public relations specialist named Janice Knowlton blames her father for the murder. She writes that therapy helped her recover childhood memories of her father forcing her to watch him torture, murder, and hack up Short. Knowlton goes on to accuse her father of 9 such killings, including that of a son he engendered with her. That's disgusting. Her book was a flop, but Knowlton harassed anyone writing about the case who did not support her claims until she committed suicide in 2004 from a drug overdose. Wow. Okay, that just took a hard left. Here are some of the suspects who've topped the list as that could have been from the last 60 years. Robert Manley. Manley was the last known person to see Short alive. He was initially booked as a suspect, but released after he passed a polygraphy test. Beset by a long history of mental health problems in 1954, his wife committed him to a psychiatric hospital after he told her he was hearing voices. The same year, doctors gave him a shot of sodium pentothal, a.k.a. the truth serum, in another attempt to glean information about the Black Dahlia murder from him. He was absolved a second time. He died in 1986, 39 years to the day after he left Short at the Bitmore. The coroner attributed his death to an accidental fall. That sucks. Mark Hansen. Hansen's name was embossed on the address book that was mailed to the Examiner. It's unclear how the item fell into Short's hands. The 55-year-old Denmark native was the manager of the Florentine Gardens, a sleazy Hollywood nightclub featuring burlesque acts. Many of the young women working for Hansen lived in his home, which was located behind the club. Short was his guest for several months in 1946, and the aging Lothario is rumored to have tried to bed her unsuccessfully. George Hodel. In 2000,
I got some more stuff about George here than what this one does.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. All right, let's get to George here. So
yeah, George has a lot. Honestly, I would say out of most of the suspects, George has the most stuff.
So
anyways,
for Steve Hodel, he's a former LAPD detective, the idea of his father, George, may have killed Elizabeth Short started with a hunch. While looking through George's belongings after his death, he found a tiny photo album that contained 2 photos of a dark-haired woman, a woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to the Black Dahlia. Steve started to dig into this theory and came up with some compelling clues. His father, George, was a doctor who would have had the skill to necessarily slice the Black Dahlia into 2. His handwriting seemed to match letters to the police, and he appeared to have purchased bags of concrete shortly before Short's death, which matched bags found near her body. And when Steve published a book about his findings, an LA Times columnist found even more evidence as he fact-checked Steve's story. According to this site, the Times columnist Steve Lopez asked the LA County District Attorney for more information on the Black Dahlia murder. They sent over a number of old files, among which Lopez found George Hodel's name on a list of suspects. What's more, Lopez found that the police had even bugged George Hodel's home in the 1950s. On February 19th of 1950, the recording device picked up a woman's scream. Later, it recorded George talking on the phone with someone and telling them, "Realized there was nothing I could do. Put a pillow over her head and cover her with a blanket. Get a taxi. Expired 12:59. They thought there was something fishy. Anyway, now they may have figured it out. Killed her." The doctor added, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead." But George Hodel isn't the only compelling potential Black Dahlia killer out there.
Can I say something real quick though before we continue?
Yeah.
The fact that they went into his house and bugged his house, it blows my mind how they could get away with it back then compared to now. You couldn't do that now if you were just the police force.
No, you can't.
There's a reason Watergate happened. You can't bug places. I'm just saying, without their approval, apparently. But we know it happens. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. I have another one that's not on this list.
Go for it.
One theory about the Black Dahlia murder posits that it wasn't one person who killed Elizabeth Short, but perhaps as many as 3. Author Piu, it's Piu, Eatwell, argued in her 2017 book, Black Dahlia, Red Rose, that the murder was carried out by Leslie Dillon and Jeff Connors at the behest of a Los Angeles nightclub owner named Mark Hansen. Why don't you have a seat?
Dun, dun.
Why don't you have a seat? As Eatwell explains, one of the first clues about the Black Dahlia murder came shortly after Short's body was found. On January 24th, 1947, the LA Examiner received a number of Short's belongings in the mail, including her birth certificate, social security card, and a number of photos. The bundle also contained an address book with the name Mark Hansen on the front. Short had allegedly stayed a couple of nights with Hansen, a nightclub owner, with friends in the LAPD before her death. And Hansen had allegedly pursued the aspiring actress, though Short rebuffed him. 2 years later, the LAPD seemed to get a break in the case when a man who called himself Jack Sand called and started to make claims about the Black Dahlia case. He said that a man named Jeff Connors had killed Short because, per Rolling Stone, she threatened to reveal an affair not considered proper by the average person. What's more, Sand, whose real name was Leslie Dillon, knew details about the Black Dahlia case that the police had kept secret. And he just happened to have worked for Mark Hansen in the past. Though neither Dillon nor Connors nor Hansen were ever charged, Eatwell suspects that the three men worked together to kill Short. She believes that the men killed her at the Astor Motel, where Dillon was staying, and where the motel owners later admitted to finding a room covered in blood and fecal matter around the time of the killing. Witnesses also remembered seeing a dark-haired woman there, as well as a man who looked like Hansen. But none of the three men were ever charged with murder. Hansen himself seemed to shrug it off when discussing the Black Dahlia murder in 1971, saying, according to Fox News, she just asked for trouble. She probably went too far this time and just set some guy off into a blind berserk rage.
Sounds like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't care. Didn't care.
Yeah.
Much sympathy from that one. You know what I'm saying?
Here's an interesting take on a suspect. And this one, so when you really dive into this subject, this murder, this case, when you really, really dive into the LAPD at this time, there was a lot of corruption.
A lot of corruption.
LA's not that far from Vegas, right? It's like, what, an hour and a half? Something like that? I'm not sure.
I would say it's longer than that, but I don't know.
But at that time, gangsters were leaving places like Chicago and New York, and they're heading to Vegas and taking over the Strip, right?
Yeah, I would say that's true.
Which, if that's happening, why wouldn't they travel to Los Angeles too?
True.
So, while George Hodel, Mark Hansen, Leslie Dillon, and Jeff Connors are compelling candidates for the Black Dahlia killer, one author claims that there's another duo who may have killed the young actress. Donald H. Wolfe wrote in his 2006 book, The Mob, the Mogul, and the Murder That Transfixed L.A., that Elizabeth Short was murdered by the gangster Bugsy Siegel at the request of newspaper publisher Norman Chandler. Why? As Wolfe tells it, Chandler, the publisher of the LA Times, had a brief sexual relationship with Elizabeth Short, and when the aspiring actress got pregnant, he enlisted Siegel to kill her. Like Steve Hodel, however, Wolfe came up with this theory based more on a hunch than hard evidence.
Okay.
So as he explained, Wolfe grew up knowing a man named Uncle Vern, who worked for the gangster, and Vern seems to have suggested over the years that Siegel could have had something to do with the infamous Black Dahlia murder. Until Wolfe's work, Bugsy Siegel hadn't been considered a Black Dahlia suspect. The gangster had risen to power in New York before moving to LA in the 1930s. Excuse me. He infamously poured millions into the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas, helping to jumpstart the city's growth. But Wolf says that it's Siegel's implausibility that makes him such a good Black Dahlia suspect. Siegel and Chandler were so powerful, he said, that the LAPD helped them to cover up the murder. He went on to say, I found that if you understand the times and you understand the players, it was very plausible. The public thought that the LAPD gangster squad's job was to arrest the criminals in LA, but their real function was to protect the criminals who were making the payoffs and arrest those who weren't. Okay.
All right, so there's a couple more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jack Anderson Wilson. In Severed, the true story of the Black Dahlia murder, actor, crime writer John Gilmore fingers an alcoholic drifter named Jack Anderson Wilson. When Gilmore interviewed him in the early 80s, Wilson purportedly divulged details about the murder that only the killer would have known, including knowledge of the supposed vaginal defect, which would have prevented Short from having intercourse. A few days before his pending arrest, Wilson died in a hotel fire. The book's validity has been questioned by other Dahlia devotees who have failed to track down many of Gilmore's primary sources, leading them to question the source's very existence. Walter Alonzo Bailey. In 1997, a Los Angeles Times writer named Larry Harnish suggested yet another suspect, Dr. Walter Alonzo Bailey, a surgeon whose house was located 1 block south of the lot where Short's body was found. Bailey's daughter was a friend of Short's sister, Virginia. Harnish theorizes that Bailey suffered from a degenerative brain disease that made him kill Short. While the police believe Short's killer was affiliated with a cutting profession, a surgeon or a butcher, Bailey was 67 at the time of the murder and had no record of violent crime. Neither is it known whether he ever met Short. Now, I will say, back to Hodel, George Hodel, he did exceed in medical school, but he wasn't a surgeon. He wasn't a actual doctored surgeon, but when it came to medical surgeries in medical school, he excelled. He was very good at it. Mm-hmm. So he was one of the most prime likely suspects for this. Like you'd said, where he was trying to find someone that he could buy off in the DA. This guy was a very wealthy person. He threw a lot of parties for a lot of wealthy people, and so he was the most likely suspect of this entire thing. It seems like, but yeah, it's so hard to tell because in today's times, you have phones, you have tracking, people have cameras outside their homes. You could see people walking the street. There's so much that goes into finding people nowadays that just didn't exist back then. So it made getting away with crime easier. It's just how it goes. And oh man, I couldn't imagine people's memories back then. They had to be actually pretty darn good, memories. Me, people asked me today
this week.
Yeah, people asked me, or somebody asked me at work today. It was do you remember this, this, and this? And I was like, was this today? Earlier? She's like, oh no, it was Friday. I was like, no, I've slept since then. There's no way I remember details like that. But yeah, it's nuts how. Oh gosh. I was going to lead on to as well as how corrupt the police force was back then. The evidence, almost all the evidence was all but destroyed, or it's just disappeared. I can't even say destroyed because we don't know if it's been destroyed. It's just gone. How does that happen without having somebody on the inside?
So yeah, that's what I was, what we alluded to earlier, about a lot of the corruption and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to read this. I know you talked a little, read the part about Robert Manley, who was the last person to see Elizabeth Short alive.
Yeah.
I want to read this as well because there might be a bit in there that didn't get mentioned in the part you read. So after Elizabeth Short's body was discovered, police tracked down the last person believed to have seen her alive, a married, redheaded pipe clamp salesman named Robert Manley. As Manley told the police, he first met Short in 46 when he struck up a conversation with her on a street corner. He said, I asked her if she wanted to ride. She turned her head and wouldn't look at me, he said in a 1947 interview. Finally, she turned around and asked me if I didn't think it was wrong to ask a girl on a corner to get in my car. The auspicious beginning was the start of their relationship, and when Short needed a place to stay after the holidays, she sent Manley a message and asked him to pick her up. Manley and Short stayed in a hotel together, Chastely, according to Manley, and then
Chastely is probably what it
Chastely, yeah, according to Manley, and then Manley drove Short to L.A. According to the Los Angeles Times, Short had lied and said she was meeting her sister at the Biltmore. When her sister hadn't shown up by 6:30 p.m. on January 9th, Manley left Short at the hotel to go home to his family. Though police considered him a Black Dahlia suspect, Manley passed a polygraph test, yet he spent the rest of his life struggling with his mental health. The Times reports that his wife had him committed in 1954 because he was hearing voices. That same year, doctors gave Manley sodium pentothal, which can allegedly make people more truthful, and asked him about the Black Dahlia case. Manley stuck to his story. So, then there was also this one, George Knowlton.
Okay.
This one is a little out there, but like Steve Hodel, Janice Knowlton also thinks that the Black Dahlia killer was someone close to home, her own father, George Knowlton. Janice detailed her theory in the 1995 book, Daddy Was the Black Dahlia Killer. As Janice wrote in her book, she started to remember things she believed she'd suppressed in the late 1980s. Her father was long dead, but Janice began to recall him molesting her, and a disturbing memory of him murdering a young woman she knew as Aunt Betty.
Yeah, I already talked about this one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
God, there's so many of these. Okay.
There was a lot of suspects.
There was a lot. Okay, so we won't rehash that one. So at this point, like there's a lot more information out there that we definitely didn't cover.
Yeah.
The fact that the dude, what's his name, Red Manley.
Yeah.
She stayed at somebody else's home, and she called him to pick her up at this couple's home, in San Diego.
She trusted him.
Now that couple, they were saying how she left with somebody the day before and came back the night of when she had Manley pick her up. But when she came back, she was acting kind of afraid. Like she was acting suspiciously and like she was afraid if somebody was going to come get her, like come hurt her.
Oh, weird.
So she may have known she was in trouble, and that's why she was trying to get out of San Diego and go to LA.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And
I found her in LA.
Yeah. So, I'd have to go find that.
Do you think she was heading to her dad's?
Again. I don't know.
Because she was literally like 3 miles away from her dad's.
Well, so like she may have left the Biltmore.
Well, I guess never mind. She was killed somewhere else, and then they dropped her off at this location.
Yeah. Well, her dad was 3 miles away. One of the suspects, his ex-wife, was only 45 seconds from there. They said that he possibly dumped the body there to torture his ex-wife. But what I'm thinking, like, if she was at the Biltmore Hotel, she told Manley that she was meeting her sister there or something. Sister didn't show up. Manley had to go home to his wife. From that hotel, she probably did try to go to her dad's house. Or maybe she did go to her dad's house. And maybe her dad ratted on her or something, like to whoever. But if you're a killer and you're going to track somebody, especially back then, because you're not going to leave much of a paper trail, that they can just pick up on instantly. You had to have people in the know. So, being a big hotel like that, mobsters, the police, or somebody that's involved.
She didn't necessarily blend in either.
Yeah. Somebody in those kind of organizations would know of her whereabouts through connections. They call up, be like, hey, I see her here if you're looking for her.
And I mean, to be fair to it, it could have been just like somebody just happened, like some crazy person just happened to snap and killed her.
Could be.
She could have been, walking down the street, or not saying she was working the corner. I'm just saying could have been walking down the street and she trusted them like she trusted Manley.
Yeah. So there's Jess made this comment.
Yeah.
And this brings me back to the show I watched last night. Same thing has happened to prostitutes and other vulnerable people. I was watching a show about a kid. He was 19 years old, killed a homeless man, just because he wanted to know what it would feel like.
Do you remember that?
And he targeted this man just because he thought the same thing. Nobody's gonna miss a homeless guy, a prostitute he could kill. Nobody would miss her. They don't have anybody or whatever. But he effed up Aaron, and this homeless man had friends that he saw every day, and that's how the missing persons report went out and all this stuff. And then when the cops showed up at his home, he was like, "Yeah, I killed him." Like, he was nonchalant about it, and they took it. He was so at ease about it. They didn't cuff him. He got in the police car. They went to the police station. They asked the first question, and then he just went into every little detail and the whole story about how everything happened. Like, he was already ready for this. Like, and he was
crazy.
He's like, I'm probably going to serve 15, 20 years for this or something like that. And
no,
he got a life sentence.
People are stupid. People are just stupid.
Cassie, you watched that one too? The kid with glasses, 19-year-old, had the head and hands in his closet. His mom found it. But that's how literally the next day after he killed the homeless man, so when he killed him in Black Dahlia style, or fashion, he dismembered the body. Like, he cut the forearm, or cut the hands off, cut the forearms off, cut one of the upper arms off. He was trying to do the other one, broke the bone, so he stopped doing that. He gutted him, decapitated him, took the hands and head home, and stuck it in a trash bag, put it in his closet. And then his mom found it the next day, and she called the police. And
yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. He had a rule of threes. It was so weird. Like, 3 days, after 3 days, the body starts to stink, or the parts start to stink. After, 3 weeks, like, the body, or after 3 weeks, or decomp starts, and after 3 months or something, like, it's unrecognizable, and like, they can't. Yeah, it was weird. Like, this kid was messed up, absolutely messed up.
I wonder if he killed animals when he was younger too.
Yes, he did, actually. 2 years prior, he decapitated a cat, and yeah. Oh man,
animal abuse is a very good sign.
Oh yeah. So,
well, not good sign, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, sign of trouble ahead.
Crazy
troubles
person.
a brewing. So with the Black Dahlia, I wonder, like, there's so many people making claims, and they were like, well, we had all these nut jobs coming out saying they were the ones that did it, but they didn't take them serious because there were so many of them.
Right. So what if one of them actually did it?
And one of them actually confessed and was the actual person. Like, now we don't know because evidence is gone. Too much time's passed.
Well, it's just like Reverend Kelly with the,
Velisca.
Velisca murder. Like, it just, he completely confessed, and then I'm just saying, I'm thinking more and more that it was him.
Same here.
With the paranormal evidence that has come out since then.
Yeah.
It just makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they should get Satori out there and make her do the knocking.
If they didn't tell her any information and they just did it, all right, cool. And that's what they got, cool. But
like blindfold them and then take them there and like
keep
them blindfolded while they do it.
Yeah, Project Fear. I'm telling you, they had the word reverend and was it preacher come across
on Destination Fear when they were there. They had preacher come through.
Yes, the first time.
3 times that episode. Then now with Project Fear, when they went back, like 4 times they had either preacher or reverend come through
on 2 separate devices.
Uh-huh.
That's huge. That's so crazy. Jerry said, another thing I think with Hodel was, Nike, as you clicked on it and I clicked on it, was that he moved twice, Hawaii and England. While in England, there was another woman who was killed and dissected that went unsolved while he was there. God, this sounds so familiar.
Yeah. H.H. Holmes.
I'm just saying, people, if you haven't looked it up, which, I mean, Cassie knows, and I hope other people
One
know.
of our old episodes about H.H.
Yeah, one of our old episodes. One of our first. Actually, I think it was our first True Crimes episode.
Probably. I believe so.
Yeah, it was on our old Boogeyman radio channel. We did a show on H.H. Holmes, and then after that show, because we didn't know this, I mean, I don't think we talked about it on that part of the show. Then it was brought up by Jeff Mudgett, wasn't it?
Well, Jeff Mudgett had the show on History Channel about the American Ripper.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was, and that's where it came from. Okay, cool. Then we had his great-great-grandson. Was it 2 greats?
I think it's 3 greats.
3 greats? Great-great-great-grandson, Jeff Mudgett. We had him on the show, and he talked about, like, so many crazy details about the story, and then we went into detail, or he went into detail about the Jack the Ripper stuff, because I'm absolutely very fascinated with like that era of London, like how much stuff just happened then.
Yeah.
So when he went into details on Jack the Ripper, my mind was blown. It was so great. As Cassie says, always with the rewatch. The special guest episode was so informative. Yes. If you guys haven't found it, if you are interested and you want to go back, go to YouTube.
We might have it on the new one, didn't we?
Did we re-upload it? Both of them?
I think so. Let me double check though, just to be sure.
I'll say, because I know we just kind of stopped doing that. I don't know if we did do that one or not. But if you did, if it's not on our show or on our channel that we're on now, go to YouTube, type in Old Boogeyman Radio, and you can find the old H.H. Holmes episode, and then find the Jeff Mudgett special guest talking about H.H. Holmes and their progression in the case to figure out what was in the grave at the end of the show. We did do it? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So it's on our current show. And current channel, that's what I meant to say. I definitely recommend going back and watching him talk about things. It was really enlightening. It was really cool. I could speculate all frickin' day about the whole H.H. Holmes being Jack the Ripper kind of thing, because it's literally like he leaves America, and then there's this gap between the time that he leaves America and he actually he uses an alias to arrive in London, not as Herman Webster Mudgett. It was a different alias that he used, I'm pretty sure. And then all these killings start happening. And then
I believe they had H. Holmes on
I think it was H. Holmes.
Manifest.
Okay. And then he uses a different name to leave London and come back to America. And then all of a sudden the killings stop. Huh.
In London. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, in London. And then they pick back up in America.
And so yeah, it's on our channel, guys, if you want to watch it. Watch the H.H. Holmes one first, and then watch the Jeff Mudgett thing, because there's like revelations that kind of come out through Jeff Mudgett as well. Some stuff that we didn't know and most people don't know, especially if you watch the American Ripper show. There's information on that Jeff reveals that wasn't
exclusively
in the show.
to in our show.
So, guys, that's gonna pretty much do it for us tonight.
Yeah, we went over the marker, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys sticking around and listening in. The Black Dahlia murders, I mean, it goes deeper than anybody really suspects, and like I encourage anybody that's interested in it to do a deep dive, and you'll see like a big run around when it comes to this thing. Like it's so messed up. Thanks for the bad dreams I'm about to have.
You're welcome.
That's what we do. It's that Valley Girl talk.
That's what?
The Valley Girl talk. It's gonna give her nightmares.
You're welcome.
Y'all should do a show on the Career Girl murders. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, I don't know that one, so that would be interesting.
We don't have a topic for next week. We'll let you guys know as soon as we figure
We'll find out.
Or it just might be a surprise. Who knows?
Surprise!
So, Charles, you got anything you want to throw out there before we bounce?
Stay classy.
Stay classy, San Diego.
That's right.
Means a whale's
and
vagina.
Good night.
Yeah. It's enraging. We'll look into it.
I'm enraging. What?
You're enraged? Hormones.
What?
All right. Good night, everybody.